Yo, what's good? What's good? Mike D right here. We got Cervon over here. We want to talk the Carter Six. I mean, we're gonna jump right into it, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Everything been good with you?
Good, man. Just ripping and running, trying to make things happen. You know how that goes. I was glad that we got some new music to talk about. A highly anticipated effort, if you will. The Carter Six from Lil Wayne. Now it met mixed reviews. I think when the features came out, people already were a little bit skeptical. You had Bono from U2 on there, Jelly Roll on there, Big Sean. It was like it was a bunch of different things going on. Um, I want to say this. I want to start off by saying, obviously, the album's got mixed reviews. There was a live the other night where said people was talking about it, how they didn't like it. Thought Wayne kind of went too mainstream on it, and everything that I saw on social media before I listened to it was trash. It was this and that. And then when I listened to it, I'm like, well, Wayne's spitting on here. And I felt like, people were actually I feel like people jump the gun a little bit when it comes to social media, when it comes to, over I don't want to say over analytical critiques, but just jumping to judgment. Now you and I see this project totally different. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that the Carter Six is fire. I think that it has some really redeeming moments, especially if we're looking at what Wayne's given us over the past, 5 years as a solo artist. But I think that many people on social media and I guess the casual hip hop listeners are just trashing this album like the funeral didn't happen, or like, what I'm saying, some of the other most recent Wayne efforts didn't happen. What was your perspective on when you heard the Carter Six for the first time?
Um, I listened to it first thing in the morning, so I got to it before I wasn't influenced by any outside opinions or anything. I woke
Okay.
up and got to work. Is That's the first thing I played, and I played it out loud and good enough where I can get a good feel of it. And I was like, there's some joints on there that was like he's rapping. That was the first thing I said. I think I sent it to our chat. I'm like, I'm listening to this joint. At least he's rapping. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I was pleased that he was rapping. Now, to say he was spitting is another thing. The cohesion of the album seemed off to me. It didn't seem to connect fully. There were some highlights, but unfortunately for me, I feel like the highlights weren't due to Wayne. It was due to the actual person who's featured on said tracks that we'll get into.
Okay.
So, it puts me in a position that, like I said, it's either dope or it's not. The album is not trash in my opinion, but it's not good either. And I just feel like the criticism is actually warranted. Actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. I
Okay.
know a lot of people feel like Wayne shouldn't be talked about this way or we shouldn't be criticizing him in a way, but actually, as me being a Wayne fan and being a Wayne fan for a long time, bro, I actually feel the criticism is warranted.
What I mean, as a Wayne fan, let me just start here, and there's a whole lot of places we can go here because the production, I feel like, is one of the things that we keep hearing about that people felt was lacking. Now, I do agree with you from a cohesion standpoint, but I think what confuses me, as I wouldn't say I'm a Wayne fan. I'm a hip hop fan, and I'm very familiar with Wayne's work, and you know what I'm saying. I followed his whole run, and I'm a fan of a lot of the things that he's done. But to me, I've always felt that Wayne was always heralded for how unorthodox he is when it comes to, putting things together. It's almost like a collage of thoughts, right? You don't look for a whole bunch of cohesion from him. And if we want to talk about production wise, on a scale from 1 to 10, and I want to know, your opinion on this because I never really thought about this, but where do we put Wayne historically as a beat picker on a scale from 1 to 10? And I'm saying post Manny Fresh era, if you will.
Man, I actually don't think the production was as bad for the whole album. There are some
Okay,
songs that it's like, yeah, some of these beats are trash, like Peanuts to Elephant. That's the glaring
that's just
one.
a
You know
bad
what
song.
I'm saying? That's
Period.
just it's just a glaring one. But I don't think the issue with Wayne albums has ever been production. You know what I'm saying? Because Wayne's albums, like if you go to the Carter 3, you go to Carter 2, Carter 1, for every time when those dropped, the production was on point with the time of where it was. I don't ever think it was a production for Wayne. And I don't think it's solely the production here. It's delivering. And with Wayne being deemed self-proclaimed the best rapper alive, he has the ability to rap over anything. And I think that was one of the best gifts. I think one of the worst gifts to it right now, the flip side of it now, instead of me saying worst gift, the flip side to that now is it's just not connecting. Like, you're not putting dope stuff over beats that traditionally nobody would probably, rap on or whatever. Like, if you're gonna do that, have it be dope. And that wasn't connecting for me. It's like, for example, I know a lot of people like to pick this record out of the album as one that they use to say, "Oh, this is a good one off the album." But for me, it was disappointing a little bit. It was one of his better joints on overall on the album, but it's one I was disappointed in, and it was Banned from No. And the reason why I have an issue with Banned from No is because when you did No Ceilings, you rapped over Banned from TV, and it was just you rapping, and it was dope. So you do Banned from No, and you don't even match that effort that you did on the mixtape on No Ceilings, then if you're a real Wayne fan, I could see how you're kind of disappointed. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, those are
yeah.
the things I'm talking. You still have to deliver, and I
Now
feel like
that's fair. That's a very fair critique. And when you texted me that earlier, I was like, you know what? And I'm glad you brought that up because I do think it's a misstep. Obviously, No Seal and Wayne is way different than the Wayne that we have now. I think it's a misstep to try to, I don't want to say recreate, but do the same thing that you did when you were at the top of your game and try to duplicate that now because, and I say this respectfully. When Ghostface jumped on that remix of that Ye and Pusha T,
that new God flow.
yeah, New God Flow. I mean, and they took the beat from Mighty Healthy from Supreme Clientele. Supreme Clientele is Ghostface at his height, right? I don't like hearing him on New God Flow like that because I'm matching it up to what's on Supreme Clientele. So I feel you. I think that's a huge misstep to try to use something that you did from No Ceiling and you're not able to match that. And I think that if he would have been listening to how those things matched up with each other, it's like, you know what, we're gonna cut this, we're gonna do something else. So I agree with you. That's a misstep.
Yeah. Or even with Bells, which I could dig that you're going in your hip hop bag and you paying homage, but like, I feel like that was poorly executed. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? I feel like if this had been Wayne from then, he would have killed that. Here he's
okay.
rapping, but for me, this is not Wayne at a high level rapping on that joint. And like I said, this is the reason why there's reasons why I say Wayne deserves the criticism. The first reason why I say he deserves the criticism, because people are just saying, "Oh, this is one album, blah blah blah." No, the reason, and you saying, I remember you stated it earlier that it's few like funeral didn't happen or whatever. I think they are giving the criticism because those type of albums happen.
Okay.
So when you're solo, right? You're a solo act, and your last counting this one, your last three albums has been duds. Fans can start criticizing you. Anybody else will start putting you in that conversation as watch. Let's keep it a buck. Wayne hasn't had a good solo album since 2011, and that's when the Carter 4 dropped. Carter 5, few joints on there that's kind of cool, but overall as a project it was bad. We shot him bail because we know it was a delayed process. Him and Birdman was going through things. Birdman
Right.
was starting to back Thug. He was doing the rich gang stuff. Wayne was kind of getting the short end of the stick on it, and we were going to bat for him. That finally, when he got it off, we were just like, man, we just happy that Wayne was able to release this. We didn't really go heavy on criticism on it. Then you
Right.
gave us Funeral, and it's like, there's a couple joints on here, a few joints on here, but overall, it's not a good project. It's just not overall to me. But you get certain things that oversee that when they're pushing the record with him and Swiss Beats, that where the Love Go joint. It was kind of saved because you can have that playing in rotation on radio. It kind of it saves you. But now you give us another half effort, and it's kind of like, all right, bro, these are three solo albums in a row in a matter of 10 years. And none of them are fire that we could say. None of them have the replay value. They are starting to put in the conversations of him being past his prime, him being washed. And it's unfortunate because Wayne is a person I do consider to be amongst greats. I really do. I think he's earned that. His work ethic earned that. And there was a time when Wayne was a force.
Yeah.
But everybody has their time when they start falling off a bit. But you have other, when you're an overall dope artist, you have other bags you could jump into. And I just feels executed poorly, man. I feel like coming off the criticisms and all the hype and conversations around the Super Bowl, right? Then how you handle it and how you spoke about it at Louisiana Fest, there was anticipation going into this. And I feel like you had something to build off of. People want to hear what you had to say. People want to see you reassure people, hey, I'm still Wayne, best rapper alive. And I felt those attempts fell short with such anticipation. And I felt like if you had this anticipation to build off of, you should really put a conscious effort to delivering the best body of work that you can, that you haven't been able to do in a long time. I feel that mark was missed. I also felt like you reinforced everybody's criticism of why you shouldn't be in certain conversations, because this is not a good showing as of something that we could use to rebuttal those criticisms. So it's
Okay,
like,
I was actually gonna go there, and as a Wayne fan, like, would you say that those shoes were possibly too big for Wayne to fill? And over time, we're seeing that.
no, I don't think they were too big for him to fill. I just think he's not taking the time to properly put his shoes in, his feet in correctly. You know what I'm saying? You're not preparing yourself. You're an artist that has been in the game long enough to you're a pro performing artist at this moment. And I feel like one of the biggest gifts to Wayne is that he's always kind of just been out of this world in his own world. But now in 2025, I think that's the same thing that's biting him in the ass. You know what I'm saying? That you
Exactly.
have so disconnected in a way that trying to gain that creation back is you trying to figure that you're trying to create a nostalgic feel that will bring us right back, and it's just not hitting the same. And I think there's multiple factors we could talk about with that too. I feel like some of his audience has grown, and so certain things we thought that was dope then just probably sounds immature now.
Well, one of the
And there's
things, and I think that's a great point, and not to interrupt you, but I want to get to one of the points that you just made. That whole
mm,
thing about I never really loved when Wayne would act like he doesn't know who 21 Savage is. And maybe he's telling the truth or whatever. Or he didn't
even him
know
singing
that Jay-Z and
was a song about Drake. Like even that was corny to me.
yeah, like he didn't know that, Jay-Z and Kanye had an album together and things like that. Like, yeah, being out of touch or being out of this world like that is cool when you're a creator that can just, like your Prince or something where you could just make
Yeah.
shit from air. But hip hop, and when you have to depend on others to make production for you, and you know what I'm saying, and keep that synergy with your fans and your fan base and connection with the culture, you got to be in tune with things. And I will give you that, even though I don't think that this album to me was like straight out blaring bad. But again, for people who have standards for their greats and they hold Wayne to that level, I could see how it feels like this is out of touch and not, meeting the standards. Because, yeah, some of these songs on here do sound like things that would have been on the radio in 2010. You know, I do also think when it comes to that Super Bowl conversation, I do think that Bono being on the album, and the song Sharks being on the album, those were attempts to silence the critics that felt that he didn't have music that was capable of being on that stage. Or maybe these are things that were being made before the Super Bowl, and we knew the Super Bowl was in New Orleans, and he was hoping that those things could have been performed on those stages. I don't know. I don't have any information on that. Wayne would
I
have to
don't think
close
it's that.
that. Huh?
I don't think it's. I actually think Wayne actually genuinely respects them as artists and would like to do
Yeah.
music with them. Because it's not like he hasn't collabed with people in other genres before, like rock and roll and stuff like that. I mean, he got
Hmm.
stuff with Travis Barker, and he has records where he's kind of in that world as well. So it's not crazy that he collabed with him. I think if you brought another hip hop artist that never had a correlation with being in that world at all, I'll be like, oh, we see what you're trying to do here. But Wayne has already kind of straddled alternative fences outside of hip hop, and I think that's the problem with this album. You name it the Carter Six. There's a little bit of culture that we assess with Carter series. Now, if this would have been another Rebirth album or I'm Not a Human album, I think there's bell that could be shot to him here.
I
But
agree with that.
there's a certain expectation that comes with the Carter series, and I feel like the album is not trash, but I feel it's not good either. But I feel the reason why it's not good is because it's not culturally within confines of what we'll put the Carter in. So when people say, man, you should have named this something else, or man, it's not a Carter album, they have the right to say that because your best attempts at good songs on this album, it's not connecting to everybody on the hip hop world.
It
And on
sounds
top
like
of
you're
that,
gonna put this Carter. This would be the weakest Carter. That's what it sounds like to me. What you're saying.
I'll have to go back and listen to Carter 5 and make that decision.
Okay. Okay, I got you.
But it's definitely one or two of those. Because Carter 1 through 4 are always good to me. You know what
Let
I'm
me
saying?
ask you
Actually, I'll
this.
go back and listen to 4 because 4 is one of those ones I don't get talked about enough. And that was
Mhm.
actually a good album. It really was.
What do you think is Wayne's last dope project?
Carter 4.
Think so?
Solo act Carter 4. The
Did
last
you
good
like I'm Not a Human Being too?
I wasn't a fan of those.
Okay. All right.
I know
Let
there are
me
certain songs that come off certain those that actually we heard on radio and you thought it was on another album, but it was on that album. Like for
yeah.
example, like No Worries. I think No Worries was on one of those albums, and
Yeah,
we
that
like
was
No.
on Not a Human Being too, and so
Yeah,
was
so,
Rich as Fuck. I mean, Not a Human
exactly.
Being
But
too got some joints.
yeah,
So okay,
but his last
2007 is the Carter Four. So you're saying that Wayne ain't made a dope album in 14 years?
not as a solo, no. His
Okay.
last overall good album, I think those Collie Grove albums actually deserves some credit because those are pretty good albums. But again, remember when like LeBron, and let me put this in sports terms. All right,
Hmm.
you remember when like LeBron, you put him on that Cavs team, no superstars. He goes and he kind of drives that team, and he's doing it. He could do it. He could do it all, right? He's a force to be reckoned with, and still at 40 something, he's a force to reckon with, right? You take Wayne, put him in basketball sense. In his prime, he could do everything. You put him on your team, you're gonna win. In whatever capacity you put him in, he's gonna affect the game. Now let's revert that back into music. When I say put him in anywhere, he's gonna affect the game in a positive. You put him in the hooks, he's gonna give you a hit. Duffel Bag Boy, the joint, I'm going in with Drake. Like there's records where you have Wayne, whatever sort of capacity, where there's a bridge, where there's a hook, is gonna be a hit. You have a Wayne verse that mattered. That was an automatic hit for people. When Wayne was on radio, he made up for more than half of hits on radio by features or by him himself. You know what I'm saying? So there was stuff that go into that. So when he's young, he's in his prime, he's affecting the game, he's impacting the game. Now, when you start to get a little older, LeBron started to get a little older, you now don't really want him to be the driver to win games. He's a little bit older. You may want to start giving him a better supporting cast and have him not be the number one option. Let's put that into Wayne. Wayne is a guy, now he's a little bit older. You start to see these things early where he can't really carry a lot of songs by himself. And it was like cool because it was crew. You could have a Drake on a hook and stuff like that and save a lot of songs. And along if he still could contribute his verses, but it takes a lot of load off him. But
Yeah.
now we're starting to see, hey, he can't do it by himself. He can't carry this. It went from now, having, like I said, having a Wayne feature was everything. Now he's the person that has to depend on features to save certain songs. Like the dopest songs we talk about on this album, feature wise, is not because of him. It's because of the actual artists that are featured on the songs that are saving them. Case
And
in point,
again,
Mhm.
I don't want to just bring Nas into this conversation, but that's one of the things that really really impressed me with King's Disease 3 specifically. It's 17 tracks is just straight him. You know what I'm saying? And that's not an easy thing for anybody at any point to do. But at 50 years old, that's very difficult to do. And and I think that we're seeing that when it comes to our greats and the people who have been veterans in this game and who, Wayne's about 30 years plus in here. What I wanted to do real quick, and you're familiar with the album, right? You've listened to it a couple times at least. I want to go
I've
song
listened
for
to
song.
1.5. I listened to 1.5. And like I
Okay.
said, the glaring points on this is due to features, man. Like I said, that Big X the Plug saved them. That
Man, that
song is
song's
not
hard.
song's
I
not
think the
dope because
album starts off pretty strong. Are
it
you willing
does.
to go? If we go down the line, I want to go. Let's one. Do you think 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, which would be more fair?
No, I don't think there's consistency in this album because, like I
Okay.
said, you could do Welcome to Carter, but then you get bells. You know what I'm
Welcome to
saying?
Carter. What do you give Welcome to Carter on the scale from one
Welcome
to
to
five?
Carter's not bad, and then you get bells, and it's like okay, but then you get hip hop, and hip hop is dope. Again, you don't get hip hop because it's being good because of Wayne. It's really Big X the Plug outperformed him on that song. If that was a Big X the Plug song, that would be a hit on radio. That would be a #1 hit right now. You know,
Let's go 1 to 10. I think that's fair because five kind of gets murky, right?
Sharks.
I mean,
I like
what
Sharks. I like
I
the
like
hook. I
Sharks
like
a
Big
lot
Sean
too.
on there. But again, Wayne is not the reason why that song is half decent or is good. It's the Jelly Roll hook. It's Big Sean delivering with a dope verse. It's not because of Wayne.
Welcome to Carter. I might go 7 out of 10.
Welcome to Carter was okay.
It's okay. I think when you're talking about an intro, it could be stronger. I mean, but I like the way he was rapping on there.
Yeah.
Bells, I go 6. I agree. I love the pain homage and all of that, but I don't think it was executed as well as it could be.
Mhm.
Hip hop, I'm gonna say a 9. It's one of the better songs on there. Sharks, Big Sean's performance is the truth. Jelly Roll did his thing on there. I think the beat on there is dope. When I first heard the album, I was a little tired, so that song, I was kind of falling asleep on that song. But I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go 8 on that one.
Then you got Bam from NO.
I think to your point about Band from No, yeah, it gets lower marks because we know what the other one sounds like.
And it's
It,
not bad. It's just not
it's
it's
more of a
not dope.
7. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
gonna shake the room. That's more of a
Yeah.
7. The days, man, I'm going more towards an 8 on the days. I really liked it. I mean, I thought
I'm
it
not gonna
was.
lie, I didn't like that record. I wanted it to be dope. I really did. I really want that to be dope. Cause I like these type of collabs. Like I like
Yeah,
when Jay is joint with you too. I like when certain artists go and they collab with rock bands or stuff like that and it works.
oh, you
You know
mean
what I'm saying?
Coldplay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like yeah, Coldplay. But it works. I think Jay collab with you two is Bono and or you two as well or something.
and
I
we
think
went
so.
on tour with them. I
I
love
think they
you
have.
too. I would have. I'm
I
trying
may
to
be wrong.
remember.
Yeah, but Coldplay was the one they did the collab joint with for
Yeah,
the
that was
Blueprint.
Beach Chair. Yeah.
For the black
Uh-huh.
Missteps. Yeah.
The
But
days, maybe. Yeah, I'm rolling with around 8 on that. You going maybe like 7, 6? You don't like it at all?
you're like a six, man. I
I
don't
never
hate
seen
it, but
Wayne
it's not
attempt anything
I just
like that.
that
And
doesn't grip.
I think maybe I'm giving Wayne style points for that and degree of difficulty because I've never seen him attempt a record like the days where it's like I won't say content heavy, but it's more reflective and takes on more of a somber tone. And I think it's something that whether we like it or not, I think it's something that I can hear on like TV, like Good Morning America or something like that. Sounds very commercial.
They played at the NBA finals, game
Uh,
one.
there it is.
You know,
Cotton Candy. I think that's one of the stronger songs too. I'm gonna go 9 on that.
yeah, but it's not because of Wayne again.
You know what? Wayne sounds rejuvenated when he's with 2 Chainz. This sounds like something that was probably left
I'm
off of
sure it
Collie Grove
compliments
too.
him very well. This definitely sounds like a leftover Collie Grove joint. It really does. You could put it
Flex
on
up,
a Collie Grove album and it fit right in.
yeah. Flex up. I wasn't really big on, even though his flow was crazy on there.
It's not.
So I can go like 6 on that one. Um, I listen, man. I didn't like Allen Holiday. The
Mhm.
Weezer play, like I didn't like it. That's just me. I didn't like it. I'm gonna go 5 on that one. But again, even with me not liking it, I could see how this song could still be big. I could see how this could get played, you know what I'm saying, summertime, pool, lake, whatever, whatever.
Nah, that wasn't it.
That
That
wasn't
wasn't it.
it. What did you think about Loki's thing?
Man, I wanted that one to be dope because of the name. I wanted it
Mm.
to be dope because of the name so bad.
That was kind of like a
Um,
strip club thing production wise.
yeah, it's just like I don't know. It wasn't as nice as I wanted it to be.
Okay,
With that.
sounds like we're losing you on this one already. All right. Loki's theme. What am I giving Loki's theme? I give it a 6. Um, if I play guitar, now this one I didn't understand.
I'll give Loki's theme, like I'll give it like a 6.57. It's not bad, but it didn't
Okay,
move me like I wanted it to. It could have really been dope.
I didn't understand if I play guitar being on here. Now
That's
this
one
is
of those ones I feel like is like on like I'm not a human, whatever, like when he did Hello not Hello Love, but what was the record he did? Like Prom Queen or like
yeah, yeah.
or How to Love. You know what I'm saying? Well, I think actually How to Love on Carter
How to
4?
Love is actually How to Love was on Rebirth.
Rebirth. Okay, it was on
Mm.
Rebirth.
Yeah, I think that
How
other song you're talking about too, Prom Queen, was on Rebirth too. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Sound like one of those records that belongs on there.
Uh, 5. It shouldn't have been on this album at all. Peanuts to an Elephant's the worst song on here. Oh no, no, no! It's either Peanuts to an Elephant or Moolah coming in. But Peanuts to an Elephant, I'm gonna get out a 3, and that's being generous.
Yeah, Peanuts and Elephant was terrible.
Yeah. What did you think about Rory?
I wasn't mad at Rari. I
Yeah,
actually like Rari.
yeah,
Rari
it's
wasn't.
okay.
I like that he had his son on there.
Yeah.
Rari actually wasn't bad. It sounded like one of those current stuff. Like he was actually rapping pretty well on there. Rari
Mm.
really wasn't bad at it. I
I'm gonna
wasn't
go
mad at Rari.
7 with Rory. I think Maria is one of the more interesting ones. I mean, the
I mean,
collaboration's interesting. With Wyclef being the person chosen to be on there, and and utilizing the Ave Maria sample. I can go
yeah,
8 with this one.
I wanted it to be better.
I think
I
one
go
of the
7.
better songs is actually. You know what? I'm gonna be
And
fair.
Leroy really liked that song.
I'm gonna go 7. Leroy does really like that song.
He really liked
I'm
that
gonna
song.
go
Like I said,
7. I'm gonna
yeah,
go.
that's what.
I'm with you on the 7. I'm with you on the 7 because this next song deserves the 8 to 9
This
consideration.
was a good record. I actually like this record.
This was a really good record, and I kind of wish that the album would have taken on not more so this tone, but this quality.
Yep.
Um, Being myself, featuring Manny Fresh. When I saw Manny Fresh on the album, especially this late in the album, I didn't expect the song to sound like this. I didn't think we were gonna get a soulful thing from Manny Fresh and Wayne. So you know what? I'm gonna go 9 on this one.
Yeah, that was one of the songs where he executed and didn't need somebody to save him on it for real.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that was
And
a
it was a
decent.
reunion, with
Yep.
Manny and Wayne. Moolah coming in, that was bad. That sounded like some
That's
Playboy
his other
Cardi.
son. That's his other song, son. And his sons actually they really love Playboy Cardi. Or at least one of them. I know one of them really like
Well, you
be
can
showing love.
tell. Yeah, you can
But
tell.
but yeah, I didn't really like this one. I actually like the song with his other son, Cameron, the Rari joint. But I didn't like the Moolah coming in record. Um,
Uh, I'm gonna go 2 on this one. I think it's the worst song on the album. Alone in the Studio with My Gun.
what's Peanuts the Elephant?
I think it's worse than Peanuts to an Elephant. They're both bad.
Mm,
It's tough. It's a tough call, but yeah, Moolah coming in is bad. I'll need to go listen to them back to back, but yeah, they're both bad. Alone in the Studio with My Gun, featuring MGK and Kodak Black.
yeah, I didn't like it.
I expect more from a collaboration like this. They didn't say nobody saved anybody on this. Kodak didn't even sound good on this. And I would think that Kodak, and I'm basing this on what he did on Kendrick's album. And he did his thing on Kendrick's album, not just the narrating, but when he was on Silent Hill's one of the stronger songs on that album, in my personal opinion, on Mr. Morale.
I mean,
And I just don't
I
feel like Kodak was locked in on this one. MGK either.
Kodak rap when he wants
Yeah,
to.
Kodak's dope. Y'all got one
I,
down there in Florida.
I always like that song that he did with Doja Cat, and it's on the soundtrack to this album. I know Jay-Z and them co-produced. It was like a Lakeith Stanfield movie.
I know what you're talking about. The name
Kodak
slips me at the moment.
has a song on that album, and they were spitting. Him and Doja Cat both were spitting on there. I like that record.
But yeah, this record, this is about a 5.
Yeah, and then written history wasn't bad. It just sounded like an album filler. It's kind of interesting. He had that as the closer.
Yeah, that's about a 7 too, just like the intro. So if I'm averaging this up, we got how many tracks we got here? Is this I didn't count the first song. So we got 18 tracks
Intro,
here, right?
18 tracks. There's music, yeah,
Yeah.
because the intro is like
Yeah, we got 18 songs here. And see, this is my issue with the streaming era, right? I feel like there's a lot of stuff that shouldn't have made it, but just to get the streams up, they get passes and they end up on the album anyway. Let's see, just based on my averages here, I am adding up everything that was on here. 6, 5, 3, 7. It's an interesting way of rating albums. I know it doesn't always tell the story going song for song, but I think in albums in this format, it can do something, right? So 18 divided by 18. Well, we got an average of 6.4 by my estimation, and by your estimation, it would be even lower than that.
well, no,
Probably.
I said the album was a 6 out of 10. I said
Yeah,
that. You know what
yeah,
I'm
you
saying?
did.
Like, and I think Soup said he gave it a 6.5 yesterday out of 10.
So
So
I guess this is where we're at. I gave it a 7.5 in my review.